All right, and we're back. We're gonna try this again. I actually had to get the Windows laptop out for this, so there was a lot of struggle in that one. There was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of struggle, and let's see if this is working. Well, it doesn't look like Periscope is responding. All right, let me kind of maximize this and see if this is working. Looks like it is. All right, we got some people back already, but Periscope isn't working the way I wanted. All right, so I'll just go ahead and share this here. Tweet that out. What's going on? We're back. Let me kind of lower the audio a little bit. It's working. Is the audio at a good level? Does it need to go lower, you think? Or is it at a good sound level for you guys? Hello again. Hello. I had to switch up all the softwares and I had to get my Windows laptop back out. And yeah, that was fun times. But we're getting all this set up and it should be a good little session, I think. Because I'm learning React. And if you want to learn React too, we can go ahead and get what's going on, Michael? What's going on? It's good level? Cool, that works. Hello. Good levels. All right. Because I know for me, let me kind of lower this volume just a bit on my end. So I know for me, the way I normally work, I have my lo-fi beats going, I have my code in front of me, and that's kind of how I hit the zone for the most part. Finally, good morning in India. Welcome, India. I have plans to come to India. I've been to Pakistan, and I want to go to India and kind of hang out and maybe do like a big event there. We'll see. Who knows what the future holds? Right now, you know, it's all wishful thinking, but I would love to do that. For sure. All right. Let's see. Let me go here. All right. So let's get this started since we got so many people here. Twitch is live. Hey, Twitch, what's going on in the house? All right. So a JSX element is a basic unit of JSX called JSX Element. Here's an example of a JSX element. It's basically HTML. The JSX element looks exactly like HTML. The only noticeable difference is that you would find it in a JavaScript file instead of an HTML file. In app.js, which is this file right here, write JSX P elements. So we have P containing the text hello world. Use the example code as above. And we'll run that, and we're good to go. So here we go. We'll press next. So JSX elements and their surroundings. JSX elements are treated as JavaScript expressions. They can go anywhere the JavaScript expressions can go. That means that a JSX element can be saved in a variable, passed to a function, stored in an object or array, you name it. Here's an example of a JSX element being saved in a variable. Const navbar equals navbar, I am a navbar, right? Here's an example of several JSX elements being stored in an object, correct? Instructions, create a JSX article element, save it as a variable named my article. So we have my article, and then we're going to do article, and we have nothing inside of it, so just a closing tag. And then we can go ahead and run that. Very good. Hey, Danny. Hey, everyone. Good morning. What's going on? Overflow, how you doing? How long do you usually study? It just depends. So for me, honestly, it depends on my mood, what's going on. But Usually at night, if I study, it's like an hour, a couple hours, just depends. But it's probably gonna be good now that I just put my son to bed, so I don't have to worry about him jumping around and all that good stuff. That's normally like my big chaos. That's why I normally do early mornings. But I just kind of had the idea to do this now, so I'm doing kind of late night. But for the most part, it's early mornings. Damn near 10. You must be in the same time zone as me because right now it's 10 o'clock. I'm in Memphis, so I'm in Central Time. Hey, Danny, how are you? How you doing? I love React. I've been using Create React App for everything. So what I'm trying to do with React is to create my own React instead of using Create React App. And I want to understand the intricacies of everything that's going into it so I can put less bloat into my files. But now I'm learning how to configure React with Webpack from scratch. There you go. That's exact. I didn't finish reading that. Good morning in my country. Well, good morning. All right. JSX elements can have attributes just like HTML elements can. A JSX attribute is written using HTML-like syntax, a name followed by equal sign, followed by a value. The value can be wrapped in quotes like this. Okay? Here are some JSX elements with attributes. A href and a link. Welcome to the web. Const title equals h1 ID equals title. Okay? A single JSX element can have many attributes just like HTML. Okay? Declare constant, name P1, and set P1 equal to JSX P elements, and put the word foo in between. All right. So we'll run that, and then it goes on the line next to. On the next line, declare a const, name P2. And write the word bar inside. So it's going to be what? Another P element? I don't like that they don't have auto-closing tags, though. Give the first P an ID attribute of large. So as we know, IDs go inside just like classes would. And we're going to go ahead and do large here. And we're going to go ahead and do small here. ID equals small. And we'll run that. Does P2 have an attribute ID? Oh, it's capital. Whoops. Very good. All right. CallStar 6:15 a.m. Well, thank you. Teach us how to use images in React. I tried normal input syntax, and both are working in development, not in production. So what do you mean by it's working in production? So like, are you using like a CDN for the images? Are you using a link? There's a lot of variables there. Yeah, we get quite spoiled with auto closing. Yep, it's very annoying. Joe, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's very annoying when it doesn't work out the way that I like. But especially because I'm so used to Emmet snippets. You can nest JSX elements inside of other JSX elements, just like in HTML. Here's an example of a JSX H1 element nested inside of a JSX A element. It's basically HTML. So to make this more readable, you can use HTML style line breaks and indentation, okay? If the JSX expression takes up more than one line, then you must wrap the multi-line JSX elements in parentheses. This looks strange at first, but you'll get it. And then we would use a return above that, yeah. So const JSX expressions can be saved as variables, passed to functions, etc. So, hey, Costers, thank you for the subscribe. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just NPM everything right now. React, Webpack, Babel. That's exactly what I'm trying to do as well. Just like non-nested JSX expressions can. For an example of a nested JSX expression, saved as a variable. Yeah, okay. Declare a new variable, call my div. Set my div equal to div. And then wrap the div in parentheses. I have to get used to. Because I'm used to Mac, so I keep pressing the Alt key when it should be the command. And nest H1. All right, with the words hello world. And I guess their goal is to have me indent all of this. All right, and we can run that. So far, pretty standard beginner stuff, getting this intro into JSX. I mean, so the question is, what is the best way to use images in both development and production? So I think it just really depends, right? I can tell you, you can have your images uploaded to the S3 bucket on AWS, or whatever cloud provider that you want to use, and then you can use that CDN directly into your application. Normally, you're going to store your images somewhere, and then you're going to call them using a link. That's pretty much the most common practice that I've come across. I'm sure there's probably places that do something else, but I don't know why you would do anything else besides that. There's a rule that we haven't mentioned. A JSX expression must have exactly one outermost element. In other words, the code will work like this. Const paragraphs, div, paragraph, paragraph, div, okay? But this code will not work. Const paragraphs equal. Why will it not work? Because there's no div in the front. First opening tag and final must belong to the same JSX. Okay. So that's why you wrap it in the div. Got it. Well, that's almost like, HTML. You would wrap a container, everything inside of a container for the page. It's easy to forget about this rule and end up with errors that are tough to diagnose. Okay. If you notice that a JSX expression has multiple outer elements, the solution is usually simple. Wrap the JSX in a div. Okay. Your friend's blog is down. He's asked you to fix it. You immediately diagnose the problem. A JSX expression with multiple outer elements. Repair your friend's broken code by wrapping their JSX in a div. Got it? Oh, stupid. I was ready for the auto close again. All right. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for hanging out. Eddie, what's going on, Eddie? I woke up at 5 a.m. today, not to start studying though. Woke up and couldn't fall asleep again. Developer motivation. Well, let this be the motivation for you. You woke up, first thing you saw was me coding, and you know what? Now it just means that this is going to be a great day. All right. Intro to JSX, rendering JSX. You've learned how to write JSX elements. Now it's time to learn how to render them. To render JSX element or expression means to appear on screen. So Reactdom Render. So the following code will render a JSX expression. Reactdom Render H1, yeah, there. Okay. Starting on line 5, carefully copy the code into the editor. Now my one rule, whenever it says, please play BTS, are you late? You're not late. We've barely broken it. We've gone through 8 slides. You're not late at all. This is just the bare bones basics of what JSX is. And essentially, if you don't know what JSX is, it is literally just like HTML code inside of React. So you haven't missed anything. I can't play BTS because I'm going to get demonetized. But also, I can't code with music with words. That's just honest. Starting on line 5, carefully copy the code. Now here's my rule when it comes to copying code. And I don't care what level of a developer you are. Don't copy, paste. Type it out. So when you type it out, your mind takes a moment to look at everything that you're typing. And as I just typed Reactdom.render, my mind is registering that. And it becomes something that you really understand at a better level. So don't ever just copy and paste. Type it out. All right, and so then we have a comma there. So Reactdom.render h1 hello world document .get element by ID. And it's going to be app. And then we have 1, 2, bam. JavaScript is case sensitive, right? So let's run that. Lo-fi music is the best for coding for me. Same for me, to be honest with you. And through that render, we've imported React with a capital R from React with the lowercase r. And we've imported Reactdom, it's not camel case, what is that, Pascal case with the first one capitalized? From Reactdom, all lowercase with a dash in the middle. Reactdom.render, h1 hello world, document.get element by the app, and we render this here. See, I can't code in silence. I can, but I get distracted with the slightest sound. But when I have like lo-fi beats on, that's why I'm actually like, I keep popping myself out of it to look at the chat, because I get into like the zone when I get like lo-fi beats on and I see code. Like I create tunnel vision, so I'm having to remind myself that we got everyone just hanging out right now. And I was like, hey, I want to make sure that I'm being aware of that as well, because we're all learning together. And hopefully, if I get something wrong and somebody knows what's going on in the chat, they can tell me that. But yeah, this is fun. Hey, we got someone. I just checked my Twitter. I got someone that tweeted this out. Someone, I'm gonna retweet that. There we go. Thank you all for the love and support. I genuinely appreciate that, and I love everything that's going on. All right. So now that we just see, this is how I work. Honestly, like I multitask a lot. So as I'm doing this, as I'm focused on you, I had Twitter open and I retweeted that. This is how my day goes. That's how I'm able to do the amount of things that I do consistently. Because people are always saying, you work, you have a full-time job, I teach at a boot camp, I lead the meetup group, I'm doing all this. How do I have time even for Twitter or everything? I promise you, I'm constantly multitasking. All right. Reactdom Render. Let's examine the code that you just wrote. Okay, they're going to break down what we just did. So you see something called Reactdom. What's that? Reactdom is the name of a JavaScript library. This library contains several React-specific methods, all of which with the DOM in one way or another. We'll talk some more about Reactdom. Got into your file for now. Just understand that it's yours to use. Move slightly to the right, and you can see one Reactdom's method, Reactdom Render. Reactdom Render is the most common way to render JSX. It takes a JSX expression, creates a corresponding tree of DOM nodes. Okay, so we got a tree of DOM nodes, and adds the tree to the DOM. That is the way that a JSX expression appears on your screen. Okay, creates a tree of DOMs. Okay, move to the right a little more, and you'll see this expression. Okay, this is your first argument passed to the Reactdom Render. Reactdom Render's first argument should be a JSX expression, and it will be rendered to the screen. We'll discuss the second argument in the next exercise. Select app.js and pass in this line. So we're going to do h1, pass in this expression as the first argument. So we would have to do what we just did above, right? Reactdom.render. And inside here, we would have h1 render me. And inside that, we had document.get element. Oh, I was guessing that before I even saw that part, just from remembering. And see, that's the beauty of not copying that code like we did last time, because I took that moment, I remembered the exact order that I was supposed to go in. So let's run that and see if that worked. And that worked. I don't see anything rendered though. Let's see. Gonna go have fun, folks. Hey, Eddie Tat, have a good day, man. VJ, Danny, what's going on, VJ? Good vibes. React docs are pretty good. Yeah, I have the React docs. So I have my monitor here, and this is where the chat is and everything. But right next to it, I have the React docs open just in case. But I had to learn it the first time because I'm using React now at work. That is actually what I went through the React docs. All right, Reactdom.render part 2. Move to the right a little more, and you'll see this expression. All right. You just learned that Reactdom Render makes its first argument appear on screen. But where on the screen should that first argument appear? The first argument is appended to whatever element is selected by the second argument. In the code editor, select index.html. All right. See if you can find an element that would be selected by app. And It would be the main.id, the main ID. All right, that element acted as a container for Reactdom.render's first argument. At the end of the previous exercise, this appeared on the screen, right? In index.html, replace main ID app with, so replace that, okay? That's interesting. All right, so we have a span that we were just replaced that with. Select app.js, and then we'll change, you want to change h1 render me to be appended to, okay, so we're appending this to the same thing. Span id equals container. And close that span. And on line 5, make that happen by changing, wait. Okay, I think I misunderstood what they were asking here. So they just want, so is that right? Yep, that's exactly what they wanted. I misunderstood for a second. So now, okay, so now I know what you finally sound like. Thanks for the motivation. Sergio, that's awesome. Thank you for hanging out. After React, learn Next.js. Yeah, so I mean, I've played with React for a little bit. I've played with a little Next.js as well. I played with a little Nuxt when I was like messing with Vue a little bit. But yeah, I'm always open to learning new things. First argument should evaluate to a JSX expression. It doesn't have to literally be JSX. The first argument should also be a variable as long as the variable evaluates to a JSX expression. In this example, we save a JSX expression as a variable named to-do list. And then we pass to-do list as the first argument to Reactdom Render. So we have an ordered list, and li learn React, li become a developer. Then Reactdom Render, to-do list, document.getElementById, app. All right. So on line 5, declare a variable mylist is what they're asking for. Set mylist equal to an unordered list. All right. And then we're going to have several LIs. Well, if I remember correctly, didn't this require a bracket to do this? We'll find out in a second. Put some text in each. So ABC. TEF. Oh, not curly brackets, but parentheses. All right. And I believe that will be correct. Okay, that was correct. At the bottom of the file, let's call Reactdom.render. And for the first argument, we're going to pass my list. And then for the second argument, document.getElementById, it's going to be app. Is that correct? There we go. ABC, DEF. This is awesome. Roshan, what's happening, Roshan? All right. The virtual DOM. One special thing about the Reactdom.render is that it only updates DOM elements that have changed. Okay, that's interesting. That means if you render the exact same thing twice in a row, the second render will do nothing. All right. Okay, that's interesting. This is significant. Only updating the necessary DOM elements is a large part of what makes React so successful. I can tell you from my experience with Angular, that is not the case. It will render it as many times, or it will send that out as many times as you call it. So we have a question here now that I mentioned Angular. React versus Angular, which one is easier? In my opinion, it's going to be React, at least so far. But I will say Angular seems significantly harder in a variety of ways. And I mean, I used Angular for almost 2 years. So I definitely like Angular. There's a lot that you can do with it. But I think where the job market is and where it's going to be going, React will obviously have more of the opportunities. And if that is the case, and your goal is to land a job in tech and to grow, and with the backing that React has, and the fact that it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon, I would suggest learning React. Just my opinion. And that's me not being biased because, again, I've only been on React now for about 5.5, 6 weeks. But I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, you want to make sure that you learn something that's employable. All right, congratulations. You learned to create and render JSX elements. This is your first step. Okay, cool. All right, let's go. Start next lesson, Advanced JSX. Whenever I try to read, my head feels dizzy, kind of off topic, but happens even when I try to read programming documentation. Any tips? Probably go see a doctor. I'm not a medical professional on this one. Yeah, you're asking medical advice. But if you're reading getting dizzy, that's a medical question, right? I wouldn't want to give you any kind of advice on that. Maybe you need glasses. Maybe you need some medication. I don't know what you may need in that respect. But if there's something you need, I would check with a doctor. Code Academy worth it? Why not? It's free. I will say I definitely love free Code Camp, and I'm doing Code Academy because I didn't do it and someone suggested it. So I said, okay, I'll do a couple streams with Code Academy. Obviously, free Code Camp is what I absolutely suggest. But it's where I started, and it's what led me to my whole career. Oh, by dizzy you mean you lose focus. So for me, what I have to do is I constantly take breaks. So normally when I'm studying, working, or coding, I do like 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and or 10 minutes off, just depends how I feel. And that helps me keep the focus for those 25 minutes. Nothing will alter what I'm doing. And those 5 or 10 minutes in between, I can do Twitter or whatever it is that I feel like doing for those 10 minutes. And then I'm back on, then back off. Adderall could fix that. I mean, we're not gonna be recommending people, do drugs in here, man. I'm gonna go with the natural things, but you find out what's important for you. You go see a doctor, get a professional opinion. I'm some random dude on the internet. You probably shouldn't be getting medical advice from me. That's why I'm trying not to give it. I would just say, find out how to keep your focus. For me, I do the same thing. If I go too long, my mind starts wandering. So the perfect thing for me is, taking frequent breaks. So that way, even if I spend 5 minutes on, cool, spent 5 minutes, I go do something for 5 minutes, come back 5 minutes, so on and so forth. Sam P, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. All right. By the way, is this helping you guys out? I was hanging out with me while I study. This song is kind of loud. I don't like this song. I like this song. Oh, cool. So if this is helping you out, let me know. Like, I'll do more study sessions with everybody, but you know. All right. So this lesson will cover more advanced JSX. You'll learn some powerful tricks and common errors to avoid. Grammar in JSX is mostly the same as HTML, but there are subtle differences to watch out for. Probably the most frequent involves the word class, which is class name. Yep. Yep, good to study with others. All right, that's awesome. Because I was questioning. I was like, are you actually getting value out of this? Is it worth it to watch someone go over this and explain what's happening? Grammar. All right. So the main difference between like HTML or anything else and React is everyone uses class, but for whatever reason, React uses class name camel case. And that's going to be the biggest difference to keep track of when you are developing in React. And I can tell you that it's already caused me headaches. So it's something to get used to for sure. In JSX, you can't use the word class. You have to use class name instead. This is because JSX gets translated into JavaScript and class is a reserved word in JavaScript, correct? So JSX is rendered. JSX class name attributes are automatically rendered as class attributes. On line 5, declare a new variable named myDiv. Equal to div, and then we're going to come write the text. I am a big div. Give your div the following attributes. Class name equals big. Underneath your div, Reactdom render. Then we have my div document get element ID, and it's app. Yeah. All right. Yeah, because class is a reserved keyword, correct? Okay. Reactdom's second argument should be document.get element by ID app. Did I misspell something? What did I do different? Oh, whoops. There we go. All right. Self-closing tags, another JSX gotcha, involves self-closing tags. Most HTML elements use 2 tags. However, an opening tag and a closing tag. However, some HTML elements such as image and input only use 1 tag, which is correct. The tag that belongs to a single tag element isn't an opening tag nor a closing tag, it's a self-closing tag. When you write a self-closing tag in HTML, it is optional to include a / immediately before the final angle bracket, for example, line break. But in JSX, you have to include the slash. If you write a self-closing tag in JSX and forget the slash, you'll raise an error. Okay, in the app.js, fix the broken JSX by adding slashes to all the self-closing tags. And article, image. That should be it. Cool. Danny, how fast? Oh, fish and chips, what's happening? Second live stream of the day. Danny, how fast can you type? My average is about 85 words a minute. It depends on the keyboard I'm on too. Like this Windows keyboard, since I'm not used to it, I'm definitely typing a little slower. But no, when I'm comfortable on this one, I can probably hit 85, 90. But like I know some developers, man, they have like 140, 120. Like they type lightning fast. Good morning, everyone. I'm John, joining from Nigeria. Nigeria in the house. It's 5:40 a.m. Hope I've not missed a lot. No, you haven't missed much. We're just going over the basics of JSX, which is pretty much just HTML wrapped up in a tag, really. All right, in this lesson, we're going to add something new, regular JavaScript, written inside a JSX expression, written inside a JavaScript file. Start on line 5. Carefully write the following code. What do you think will appear in the browser? So we have Reactdom Render, we have h1 2+3, and then we have document.get element by ID. So chat, what do you guys think is going to pop up when I write this? I have my theory of what it's going to be. All right, 24/7. 1 year goal for life changing. 1 year, hey, that's a good goal. That's a realistic goal and a good goal. Because I can tell you, a lot of people like in 30 days I want a new career, and it's not happening. All right, let's go ahead and run this. And nothing appeared. This is weird how nothing is appearing. Should be popping up though. And the code in the last exercise didn't behave as one might expect. Instead of adding 2 plus 3, printed out 2 plus 3. Why? I mean, it's pretty obvious why it's H1. This happened because 2 plus 3 is located between H1 tags. Any code in between tags of JSX element will be read as JSX and not as regular JavaScript. All right? You need a way to write code that says, even though I'm located between JSX tags, treat me like ordinary JavaScript and not JSX. And you could do that by wrapping it in curly brackets. Add a pair of curly brackets. All right. Okay. 20 digits of pi in JSX. You can now inject regular JavaScript into JSX. All right. In the code editor, you can see a JavaScript JSX expression that displays the first 20 digits of pi. So we have pi y'all, math.pi.toFixed. There's 20. And if you don't know what toFixed is, it means the number of places in a decimal place. So for example, if you wanted to show, like, let's say $1.50, right? This would be toFixed 2. So it would only show 2 decimal places. And it comes in handy. I use toFixed once in a while, but it's good to know it. All right, we got some comments here. Mr. Como, specialist in JavaScript in 1 minute, Code Academy. All right. Are you saying I missed a comma here? Where did I miss a comma? There's no comma missed. I just got a... Oh, Jordan, what's happening? Yeah, this is my real first time legit using Code Academy. It's all right. The only weird part is nothing is rendering, so I don't know why. I don't know if I gotta sign in, sign out, or what's the deal. You can now inject regular JavaScript into JSX expressions. This will be extremely useful. In the code editor, you can see a JSX expression that displays the first 20 digits. Study the expression. Notice the following. The code is written in a JavaScript file. By default, it will all be treated as regular JavaScript. Find div on line 5. From there up to div. From there up to div, the closing tag will be treated as JSX. From find math, from there up through 20, the code will be treated as JavaScript. The curly braces themselves won't be treated as JSX. They are markers. All right. So let's select app.js, declare a new variable, and set math to include h1 elements. Put the following text inside. We have, what is that? 2 plus 3. Oh, we have spaces. Equals 2 plus 3. See this? Does free code camp teach React to? Yes, it does. I just got off before document.element by ID. All right. At the bottom of a file, call Reactdom Render, and then first argument pass math, and then what is it? Document. All right, finally. As you probably expected, the equation was displayed as a string. Insert a pair of curly braces so that the browser. All right. So this is pretty basic stuff that, I mean, we know this. All right. Import py.js into app.js. So variables in JSX, when you inject JavaScript JSX, that JavaScript is part of the same document as the rest of the JavaScript in your file. That means that you can access variables while inside of a JSX expression, even if those variables were declared on the outside. Free Code Camp and W3 Schools gave me a good basis. Absolutely. Free Code Camp is exactly where I started. I will always, always, always recommend that. And you can't go wrong with Free Code Camp. Plus, when you deal with people like Quincy Larson, like who's like a legit legend to me, and like everything that he's done, you can't go wrong. Especially when the man for years took zero salary, and now he has this global platform where people all over the world are learning to code. I mean, even their Discord channel is like insanely busy, right? And he takes like a 50 grand a year salary, which is like peanuts compared to what he could be taking. All right, let me see here. All right, cool stuff. Okay. All right. Yeah, W3 School says help me with PHP. PHP is cool. As long as you got opportunities in it, I say do it. All right. So when you inject JavaScript into JSX, that JavaScript is part of the same environment as the rest of the JavaScript in your file. That means that you can access variables while inside a JSX expression, okay? Even if those variables were declared on the outside. Const name, Gerdo, const name, okay, right. Place the first argument with h1s, okay. So we're replacing that, the best string. But why would, okay, chalala, I'm the best. Okay. Cool stuff. Matt Wang, what's going on? I meant to call you back, by the way, but I didn't want to disturb you. I thought you'd be at your new job. Variable attributes in JSX. When writing JSX, it's common. I was on a stream when you called me, and now I'm on another stream. Back at it again. All right. So variable attributes in JSX. When writing JSX, it is common to use variables to set attributes. Here is an example of how it may work. Const side length, const panda. So we have our image, we have the source, the URL of that image or where it would be located, the alt text, so that way if the image doesn't show up, what text is visible. The height would be side length, which we declare up here. The width would be the same value as well. All right, so notice how in this example, the image with the self-closing attributes each get their own line. This can make your code more readable, which is very important. If you have a lot of attributes on one element, object properties are also often used to set attributes. Okay, that's interesting. So then pix.panda. Okay, I like that. So we would have variable pix, which creates an object, and with that object we have panda, owl, cat, and then to get the URL or the source location of that, we'd use pix, which is the variable, dot panda, which is the first item of the object. I like that. That makes things a lot easier. Cool. All right. Never seen React, so this is my first exposure. Zach, what's going on? Matt, hilarious. Zach, one of my students, hey, you know, I use React at work, but I want to get a better like grasp and understanding of what I'm doing. So this is all very beginner level stuff here. So I thought this would be perfect to learn with everybody. On line 7, declare a new variable named gooseImage. All right, so we have gooseImage. and set its value equal to a JSX image tag, and give the image the source, and set the attributes value equal to the variable name goose. Ooh. So they're just what? So we're just setting it to goose? Would it be in curly braces perhaps? So it would be without the curly braces? Node and PHP. Okay. It can be in quotes, right? It is in quotes. Okay, I was thinking like the object property sense. No? Goose image should be equal. What is it asking here? On line 7, declare a new variable named goose image. Set its value equal to a JSX element of image. Give the image an attribute with the name source. Set the attribute's value equal to variable name goose. So we have source equal to goose. Goose is within the same file. Maybe single quote, might be single quote. I doubt that would change that. So it's not a curly brace. Let's try curly brace just in case. And it's not. That's what I did the first time. Oh my goodness. It must be because I put it on a separate line. All right. That was a little irritating. And out the var in there. Yeah, that's exactly what I did the very first time I did this. But the curly brace didn't work. I guess it's because I'm on a separate line. I don't know. That was very bizarre. All right. So use Reactdom Render to render goose image. So we have Reactdom.render. And the first argument is goose image. And the second argument, document get element by ID. And it's going to be the app. All right. So we got that image there. It's a nice image. Event listeners in JSX. Okay, JSX elements can have event listeners just like HTML elements can. Programming and React means constantly working with event listeners, right? So you can create an event listener by giving a JSX element a special attribute. Here is an example. Image on click equals my function, right? So an event listener's attributes name should be listened, like on click or on mouse over, the word on, plus the type of event that you're listening for. You can see a list of valid event names here. Let's just see what this is. Clipboard events, composition events, keyboard events. Okay. On copy, on cut, on paste. That's cool. All right, cool. All right, an event listener's attributes value should be a function. The above example would only work if my function were a valid function that had been defined elsewhere. So function my function, it's an alert, and if you don't know, an alert means a pop-up on your window. So my function is the p function. Oh my god, that was horrible. I'm so sorry. Image on click equals my function, and that would call the function. Note that in HTML, even event listeners' names are written in all lowercase, such as on, right? But in JSX, event listeners are in camel case. Yep. So on line 17, it's being passed two null arguments, Render kitty by replacing the first null with kitty. All right. All right, so we have that one done first. Yeah, so I'm guessing, yeah, you're correct. I think that goose one, the error was that I had it on a separate line. All right, add an on-click attribute to the image. Okay, so on-click equals make doggy. Then click run. All right. And then click to change. Okay, cool. I just want to go back 1 second. So the JSX starts here in this const, and it's rendered here, and then the function is above it. Got it. So JSX conditionals, if statements that don't work. Great work. You've learned how to use curly braces into. Okay, here's a rule that you need to know. You cannot inject an if statement into JSX. This will break the code. The reason why has to do with the way that JSX is compiled. You don't need to understand the mechanics of it for now, but if you're interested, you can learn more about that here. I do want to learn more. Why can't we do an if statement like that? So it compiles into this. So we have React.create element, my button, the color, click me. You can also use self-closing tags. Compiles into React.div, okay. If you want to test out some, okay. React must be in scope. So, okay, since JSX compiles into calls to React.create element, the React library must also be in scope from your JSX code. For example, both of the imports are necessary in this code, even though React and custom button are not directly referenced from JavaScript. Using dot notation for the JSX type. User-defined components must be capitalized. Okay. That's cool. I love using spread operators, so that works. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm reading in my head. I forgot. So spread operators are basically a way to copy the props. So here we have the props, and by using that spread, it's copying it for us here. All right. And string literals, which we all know. JSX children, so we have my container, my first component, my second component, right? So the way it would work is you have one main file, your app.js file, and every component you make will go into that file. And so that's like one of the cool things about React is everything is in components. So you're making everything completely separate and you keep it organized in your main file by adding one at a time. When is your next bootcamp course starting? So right now I'm still teaching in the bootcamp. One of my students is actually here, if he's still here. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing another one or not. It depends on which areas they go into and what my schedule looks like. Especially like right now, it's cool because as many of you know, I do a lot of public speaking. And right now, the winter season, it's a little off, although I am in talks to go do another talk for all the Microsoft employees on January 20th. And I'm in talks to go speak at another event February 23rd, I believe. So, you know, we'll do that. But for the most part, the winter time, it's usually a little slower because of the holidays and all that. And so that's the reason why I agreed to do this bootcamp since it's over this time period. But we will see, you know, what the schedules look like. I know I'm constantly always approached with opportunities, so we'll find out, you know, where my next teaching gig is, if I'm going to keep teaching. It's fun to teach, but man, it's very, very time consuming because especially like as a boot camp, it's not like when class starts and ends, that's it. Like I have students messaging me late at night, early in the morning. I have to make like office hours for them to come in to get extra help. So it's a lot. It's a lot. All right. So we'll go back. We'll go back to what we're doing here. All right. So what if you want a JSX expression to render, but only under certain circumstances? You can't inject an if statement. So what can you do? You have lots of options. In the next few lessons, we'll explore those and write conditionals. JSX conditionals, if statements that do work. How can you write a conditional if you can't inject an if statement? Well, one option to write an if statement and not inject it into JSX, look at if.js, follow the if statement all the way around, okay? So we have our import React from React, we have a Reactdom, we have let message. If user age is less than or equal to the drinking age, message equals, hey, check out this alcoholic beverage. Else, message equals, hey, check out these earrings. Well, where are we getting the value of drinking age from? Not. So they must have it in the background or something. Okay. It doesn't explain where they even get the drinking age value, but they define message. Okay. So if JS works because the words if and else are not injected between the JSX tags, the if statement is on the outside and no JavaScript injection is necessary. This is a common way. Okay. So write an if-else statement using if.js as a guide. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. You do the if and you have your JSX inside there. Saludos, Guatemala. Hey, que onda, Guatemala? Are XML still used in modern web development? Is this JavaScript? This is React. So it is a framework of JavaScript. It uses JavaScript to basically, you write all your HTML in there in these JSX formats, and then you can output it onto the page. XML is still used in certain areas. You can use a lot of XML with like web crawling for pages and things like that, but it's definitely not used as it used to be. All right, so starting on line 16, write an if-else statement. If coin toss, the function equals heads, then execute image source pics.kitty. We're using the object to have these images, which I like. So we have math. So the function of coin toss works as we have math.random. We're generating a random value, and we're using a ternary operator here. Just in case you don't know how a ternary works, you have your condition, which is like what you're checking. You have your first statement, which is basically an if statement. Like, okay, if this condition meets this first statement, let's do this. Otherwise, let's do this, the second condition, okay? So now that we understand that, the way this ternary operator is working here is we have a math.random, so it's generating a random number, and math.random generates a random decimal point less than 1. And if that number is less than 0.5 or half, then we want the first condition to be heads. But if it is greater than 0.5, then we want it to be tails. All right, and so we have const.pics, so we have pics.kitty to get this, pics.doggy to get that, and we have let image. Okay, so if, so what would that be? If, and let me just check here just to reference this. So it's basically the same thing as a regular if statement. Oh, whoops. I have to go before this. So if, let's do coin toss is equal to do heads. Whoops. So if the coin toss is equal to heads, Then we'll do image is equal to image source equals, oh, shouldn't it be all together? Yeah. Pics dot kitty. And then we will make sure we do our self-closing tag because it's an image. And then we'll do the else. We'll do image is equal to image, oh, image source is equal to pics dot doggy. Let's run this. Oh, whoops. I forgot that we're calling a function name. All right. That space threw it all off. All right. Check here. All right, cool. At the bottom of the file, call Reactdom.render. For Reactdom's renders first argument pass an image and document. We've done this so many times now, like you would think they'd include this text by now. All right. So Reactdom.render. And so the first argument is image, second document.get element by ID, and it's app. All right. And so if we, whoa. And so, yeah, as we refresh the page, sometimes it'll be the cat. And sometimes it'll be the dog. That works. Ternary operators. Now, I will say, like in the React that I'm using at work, we're using ternary quite often, which is interesting. But it has to be, the one thing with ternary operators that you need to be aware of, it needs to be simple. It doesn't need to be very complicated. Very simple. Like one-line things. It shouldn't be two-line or nested ternaries. You don't want to do that. It'll become very difficult for you to read or others that follow you to read. And that's the last thing that you want to do. Readability should always be your number one concern when it comes to development. There's a more compact way to write conditionals in JSX. The ternary works the same way in React as it does regular JavaScript. However, it shows up in React surprisingly often because, yeah. Recall how it works. You write, and this is the same explanation I gave before, X, Y, and Z. When your code is executed X, is truth or false. Okay. Here's how you might use a ternary. Age less than drinking age, by drink, do teen stuff. If the above example, man, I've dealt with code bases with ternaries inside it. Yeah, Hassan El Magadi, what's going on, man? Yeah, that's it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. I don't like nested ternaries, and that's when you get into spaghetti code, and that's not what you want. You always want readability to be number one. You should always have your code being the most readable thing possible, because it's not just for you, but it's the person coming behind you. And here's the other thing. I try to tell developers this all the time. Don't always follow like the cool new trick that you learned in a blog, because in 6 months you may not remember that trick anymore. And when you have to go back to that code to fix something, now you're screwed. So, yeah. In the above example, if age is greater than or equal to drinking age, then headline will equal H1 by drink. Otherwise, headline or the H1 will equal do teen stuff. All right. So take a look at app.js. So we have our import React, we have a React DOM again, we have a function of coin toss, which is the math.random ternary, then we have the pics, and we have the const image. And so now they've changed the source where the pics, we have X, I'm assuming they want us to change this. Okay, on line 14, yep, replace X, Y, and Z with the following three expressions. You have to decide which is X, Y, and Z. So head should return kitty, and tail should return doggy. All right. So we're going to have pics. And so if pics is equal to heads, oops. then we're going to return kitty. So it'll be pics. No, so it's going to be kitty. Otherwise, doggy. I think that should be right. Oh, it's in these quotes? Okay. And what's interesting about this is you see that it's the curly braces, and because the way you call an object would be pics.kitty, you see that this is in an array of values, so that way you can get the pics and then put the kitty in there. Let me take this out before it causes an error. It's not right. Oh. Coin toss. I thought, yeah. Triple equals heads. I should have saw the example they gave there. That's my mistake. All right. So we're going to cover one final way of writing conditionals in React and the double and operator. Like the ternary operator, double and is not React specific, but it shows up in React surprisingly often. All right. So if not baby and pizza. All right. So age is greater than 15 and Brussels sprouts. So in the last 2 lessons, you wrote statements that would sometimes render a kitty, other times a doggy, would not have been the best choice for these lessons, and works in conditionals that sometimes do an action, but other times do nothing at all. So if this expression on the left and the and evaluates as true, then the JSX on the right of and will be rendered. If the first expression is false, however, the JSX to the right will be ignored and rendered. You've been building a React website all about your favorite foods. You're excited to share your website with your friends, and yet at the same time you fear the crucial icy harshness of their judgment. Line 13 uses that double and operator. Make it so that this expression will only appear if not judgmental. What line is this? 13. So not judgmental. So if they're not judgmental, then do this. All right, let's try and run that and see. Should come before. Well, is it not before? It is at line 13, right? Yeah. Oh, I need curly brackets. Whoops. Well, that's not either. Is a space required? I'm pretty confident they don't want me turning this into a ternary. Should come before. Well, that's what it is. I must have misspelled this. Yep, I have an E there. Whoops. All right. React conditional statements look so clean. Yep, it's a big difference. Sup, Danny? God bless, brother. God bless. Thanks for hanging out. We got quite a few people between Twitch and YouTube, so thanks for everybody for hanging out. All right, dot map and JSX. So one thing I've even told my students, you're going to use map a lot. Get used to and get comfortable with mapping. You're going to map a ton of crap in your career. Comes up often in React. It's good to get in the habit of using it alongside JSX. If you want to create a list of Jsx elements, then map is your best bet. So if you look here, we have this example of const strings, and we have 3 items inside of the array. And so we'll have const list items. And so we don't ever want to change the value of our original array. You never know what you'll need it for. So we're going to do strings, which is the array, dot map, which means mapping literally means I'm making a copy of and I'm doing something with it. So I'm making a copy of strings, and that copy will be called string. We're using an arrow function saying that we're sending this to li list item string. And so we're basically passing the copy of strings into this li. And then you'll have an unordered list, and you can put that there, and it's basically a cool way of mapping out all the strings. In the above example, we start out with an array of strings we call .map on this array of strings. And the map call returns a new array of LIs. On the last line of the example, note that the list items will evaluate to an array because it's the return value of a map. I'm streaming. We've been streaming for over an hour. How you doing, DR? I see you all the time on Twitter. You know what? You coming on the stream too? Let's see. I know I just saw you comment not so long ago. Yep. I was just making sure I was following you. I thought I was, but I just wanted to make sure. I see you all the time being active on Twitter and, always putting some positive words. Much love, buddy. Love this dude. Thank you. A lot of love for you too. I love everything that's going on in the community, and it's a better community because you're a part of it. On the last line of the example, note that list items will evaluate to an array because it's the return value of map. Exactly. So JSX LIs don't have to be in arrays like this, but they can be bottom. Okay, cool. You can see that a .map call is a partially set up. Okay. On line 8, write an expression to complete the map call. This expression should consist of an LI. So what we're doing here, we have persons, and we have an LI, and here we will have person. And so we're going to go ahead and do Reactdom Render, and the first element, well, come back here. So I need to go ahead and do this. And then we'll have, what is this thing called? People LIs. And then we'll have the Reactdom number of people. Is that what it's going to be? People LIs. Is that correct? Cool, that was correct. All right. I love the dev community. It's made me a stronger developer. Absolutely. Like I can tell you from myself and my own experience, time to sleep for work. Thank you for hanging out so much. Emerald, it was a pleasure having you here. Thanks for hanging out. I can honestly tell you that as a developer, my career jumped up levels when I started going to meetups and I found a community and developers supporting. I can't tell you how valuable that becomes in the long run, because regular people that don't develop don't know the struggles and the mental things the mental gymnastics even that you're going through trying to make a career happen, trying to make your job happen. And then when you get there, they don't understand the struggles of actually keeping that job. So when you have developers that are going through the same thing, it makes life that much easier. All right, everybody. I'm going to take a couple seconds because I'm out of water. So let me go get some water and I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. What's going on, Tanvish? That's amazing. I wish I was using my other software so I can kind of show everybody what you just wrote. But that is, I forgot even how to do a screenshot on Windows. Let's see. Thank you for hanging out, Tanvish. That's amazing. Tanvish says, thanks, Danny, for helping me get an internship. Your LinkedIn series got me 4 offers in just 1 week. Now I can pay my own rent and pay some part of my college fees. That's incredible. Like, do you guys understand that? Like, I've been trying to tell people all along. That's amazing. Where does it save it at? Not there. I'm so out of touch with Windows now, and I'm trying to figure out how everything works. That's amazing. So it's taking the screenshot, and where's it sending it? That's so weird. This is not working the way I want it to work. Let's see. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm used to the Mac commands, and I've got the snipping tool actually taking the screenshot, but it's not sending it anywhere, which is really bizarre to me. That's annoying. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Windows Shift S, and it's taking the screenshot. Maybe it's because it's here. That's so weird that if that's the solution. See, it's taking the screenshot, but it's not actually. Yeah, that's what I'm using. Windows Shift S. All right. Alt F4, you're hilarious. Yeah, you're not trolling me, man. That's hilarious, though. All right, screw it. It is what it is. But massive congratulations. I'm just checking one more place. Says created a screenshot folder. I doubt that. Nope. I'm not used to Windows. It's been forever. I'm looking at pictures. There's no pictures, no screenshot. I've taken like 15 copies of that screenshot, and it's not there. It'll be all right. I'll replay the replay later and get it. Malbona, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. No, it wasn't. All right, I'll figure it out later. All right, So on line 12, Reactdom Render, for Reactdom's first argument, write a UL in between the UL tags, put curly braces. Okay. So we've got the UL there, we've got the closing tag, and we've got our curly braces. And the reason why we're doing the curly braces here is, and I wonder why they have us doing a UL here, because we have the UL rendering there. And for second argument, we will use the same thing. So let's take this out. Will that still work? There we go. All right, keys. When you make a list in JSX, sometimes you will need to include something called keys. Key, li, 1, 2, okay. A key is a JSX attribute. The attribute's name is key. The attribute's value should be something unique, similar to an ID attribute. Keys don't do anything that you can't see. React uses them internally to keep track of lists. All right. You're right, fish and chips. It is in my paint tool. Let's try that. The problem is I haven't used Windows in forever, and I'm just forgetting everything. But for whatever reason, the only way I can get music to play on this live stream was to add it on Windows. And that's exactly where it was. Guys, everybody, we did it. Yay. So we'll save that as an image. Tarnish. Yay, we did it. All right. So key is a JSX attribute, the key's name. Keys don't do anything that you can't see. React uses them internally to keep track of the list. If you don't use keys when you're supposed to, React might accidentally scramble your list items to the wrong order. Not all lists needs to have keys. A list needs keys if either one of the following are true. Okay, so I understand that. Max Programming, thank you for the follow. So you're streaming to both places? Yes, I'm streaming to both. It's not that I'm like, I used Windows for years, right? And for work, they're making us use Mac. So over like the last, when did we switch to Macs? Like a year and a half? It's all been Mac. I've got this Windows that I keep next to me all the time just in case something pops up. But you know, when you don't use something frequently, like you forget some of the small stuff. You remember the broad strokes, but the little details skip your mind because, for example, when you make a screenshot or a snipping tool on Mac, it automatically generates the image for you without that extra step. All right. So keys, you like the new Windows screenshot tool? It's just a click and it gets copied. Yep. All right. So keys don't do anything that you can see. React uses them internally to keep track of lists. So if you don't use keys when you're supposed to, React might accidentally scramble your list items in the wrong order. Interesting. Not all lists have to have keys. A list needs keys if either of the following are true. The list items have memory from one render to the next. To have memory from one render to the next, you need a key. For instance, when a to-do list renders, each item must remember whether it's checked off. The items shouldn't get amnesia when they render. A list order may be shuffled. For example, a list of search results may be shuffled from one render to the next. If neither of these conditions are true, then you don't need to worry about keys. If you aren't sure, then it never hurts to add them. Okay. Anyone else in the chat? Yeah, well, I don't know about on Twitch in particular. I see a combined viewing number. I got to leave today from work to study React Native since we'll be working on a mobile app from December 15th. Codecademy teaches React Native? I don't know. This is my first day really using Codecademy. Yep. Looks like it has an intro to React Native, learn React Native. Way to go for programming for React Native. React.js Part 2. Yeah, looks like it. Malbano said, yep. I feel you there. I do Mac at home, but I have a Windows laptop at home to keep my memory up. Helps just in case you get a job that only focuses on Windows. Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, like it's not the hardest thing in the world going from one OS to the other. Like it just the little things that you get used to on Mac. I think Mac focuses more on trying to make things flow easier, if that makes sense. But Windows is all about like you have everything accessible to you. Personally, I love both. I don't have a problem with either one, and I'll use whichever one that a company wants me to use as long as it's, you know, the tool for the job. I'll be back when I write my last answer for the exam. Go take your exam. We're just hanging out. We're not doing anything too vital today. Like we're just learning and growing, right? So on line 8, give your li key attribute. What should key's value be? Each key must be a unique string that React can use. So I'm guessing key 1, key 2. Render. So for each element in people, we must generate a unique value. How can you get map to produce unique keys? Yep, you explained it exactly. Exactly, and good luck with your exam. Yes, Malbona with the answer. Max programming. All right, so for each element in people, we must generate a unique value. So first, we can add an I parameter, sure. So I can iterate and create a new value. Inner function so that you can access each person's unique index. So person, and then it will be the index position there. So now you can generate a unique key on each loop by adding the attribute. Okay. All right. So first add an I parameter to map. So we're going to do person and then I. Is that right? No, it would be before. So person and the index, and then we'll come back here. So first add that should be right. Oh, missed one. Now you can get a unique key on each loop by adding the following attribute to your li. To my li. So key equals. So we would get rid of this. Key equals person. Plus I. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. Give your li an attribute. Oh. I know what I did wrong now. Let's cut that out. And this was person. Let's try that. Give your li an attribute with the name of key. I mean, pretty sure that's exactly what I did. Oh, person with an underscore? Oh, I missed the underscore. Oh, that's interesting. No one wants to miss Danny's Dev Jams. Hey, Gulab Sheikh. Hey, Danny, I'm new here and I heard that you're the best in motivating students. That's what people say. On the background, oh, the background music is so good. Yeah, like for me, you know, when I code, I always have to use like some lo-fi beats or something. It kind of keeps me in the zone, and that's kind of what I prefer. Don't forget the underscore, correct. It's definitely the underscore. All right. Always check your punctuation. You are correct. All right. So, and hey, we got some people in the chat and we got some people on Twitter. Just make sure that, you know, you're subscribed or you're following me, just so you never miss another live stream again. All right. Hi, I just got the freelance job on my LinkedIn after I watched your video. Wow, Imad. That is incredible, Imad. So for those on Twitch that haven't seen this, on Twitter we just had another person say, I just got a freelance job on my LinkedIn after I watched your LinkedIn series. I improved it a while ago. Thank you so much. Imad, that is incredible. That is incredible. Well, we got another a snipping screenshot that we can test this with. Like today has just been a day of, this is my second live stream of the day, and this has been 8 people today have talked about how they landed jobs in tech because of the LinkedIn series. Like, it's incredible how many people are landing jobs in no time. Like, it just means the world. All right. Don't forget to like. You're right. Don't forget to like. I appreciate all the love and support. And I appreciate that we're able to just kind of hang out and learn together and grow and talk about something valuable, right? So, going back to what Malbano said, still never touched any React yet. Well, now's the perfect time, unless you're still learning like JavaScript. But I mean, outside of that, like, it's perfect time right now to pick it up and grow with it. The job market is in it, and I definitely recommend it. And I use React at work, but I said, I'll come ahead and go through this beginner series with everybody so that way we can kind of learn the basics together and maybe answer some questions on it and hopefully learn some things that I also don't know as well, right? ABL, always be learning. You're always learning. Yeah, still need to learn some more things in JavaScript. For me, if you understand the DOM, excuse me. For me, if you understand the DOM, then you are in a perfect position to utilize React. Talking about LinkedIn, I'm still a student. Should I make it clear? It can't hurt because a lot of companies still like hiring interns. So if they know you're a student, then you're perfect for an internship. All right. You can write React code without using JSX at all. Cool. Thanks for the tip. Absolutely. The majority of React programmers do use JSX, and we will use it for the remainder of the tutorial, but you should understand that it is possible to write React code without it. The following JSX expression, we got that, can be written without JSX like this. Oh, that looks ugly though, but I got it. When a JSX element is compiled, the compile transforms the JSX element to the method you see above, react.createElement. Every JSX element is secretly a call to React create element. Okay. So take a look further. Take a look at following JSX element. All right. And app.js, create the element above without using JSX. Use the example. Okay, we can, but it just looks terrible. So what is it? So we have div. We have null. Then we have, what does it say? I am div. Congratulations, you've completed the unit on JSX. We did it. We did it. We completed the advanced JSX section. All right. Ask that because following all the steps in your series, now it's becoming so good that I'm afraid anybody calls me, I don't know what I'm doing. Didn't want to waste. Yeah, you just tell them straight up, I'm a student. I would love an internship. I would love the opportunity to, work with you. And you just see what happens, right? Like, there's plenty of companies in the world that need interns now. I would absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, still make my profile like that. There's even, what's his name? Trent Black, YouTuber. He just got an internship at Fang. He's a student. Like, companies are hiring students, during the summer breaks or part-time, whatever it may be. It's a perfect opportunity to get that experience before you get into the field. All right. Completed the second lesson. Apply your learning with a project. Animal fun facts. Code Academy Pro. You can practice what you've learned with free-form projects, quizzes, and more. Try it for free. All right, we can try it for free. Oh, yeah, we're not trying it for free. Let's back that up. I'm all about paying for stuff, don't get me wrong, but I'm not doing that. All right, so now I will say, at least in my experience, the class-based components, but really it's going to be, actual components as opposed to what we were doing before with just plain JSX and a const. All right, so React applications are made out of components. What is a component? A component is a small reusable chunk of code that is responsible for one job. That job is often to render some HTML. Try it free, but type your credit card first. Yeah, I thought I was just going to try it and then see what they're offering, but take a look at the code below. This code will create and render a new React component. Okay. A lot of the code is probably unfamiliar. However, you recognize some JSX in there as well. Let's just go ahead and type this out real fast so we get comfortable with what this is. Then we have import Reactdom from Reactdom. So we have our class, my component class, and that extends React.component. Now I will say all the work that I'm doing at work, none of that is written in this way. So this may be an outdated way to do things, which is interesting. We have Reactdom.render. What am I? It's interesting why it's still white. Pop up, pop up. Hasn't changed colors. My component class. We have a backspace, and then document get element by ID, and it's to the app. Oh, that's why. I used a curly bracket. All right, Reactdom.render. My component class is the first argument. Okay, so cool. A lot of code is probably unfamiliar. However, you recognize some JSX in there as well. We're going to unpack that code one small piece at a time. Carefully copy the code. And I'm betting you I have a mistake somewhere. I feel like something's not right because this should have... Turn H1. Oh, there's no closing tag here. That was it. Copy the code exactly. Oh, it's probably because this isn't spaced. What is different? Oh. Okay, something else is off. I don't know what it is though. Type in. Oh, you're right. I saw that comment. Yes, you're right. Malbona was right and the house was right. Hey, everybody. Yes. There we go. Ooh, your first React component. Take a look at the code on line 1. Import React from React. Oh, J. Michael. Thank you. That is amazing, J. Michael. J. Michael with the super chat. I genuinely appreciate that, Jay. You didn't have to do that, but I'm so grateful that you did, and I hope amazing things keep coming your way. Wow, thank you. Shabazz, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. J. Michael, man of the day today. Today is the day of Jay. Cool Dev, what's going on? All right. I appreciate all of you. Yeah, Scrimbo's awesome. I like Scrimbo. Scrimbo's cool. I missed a lot of comments here. Okay. Your company may be using React hooks now. Exactly, we're using hooks, which is the most current way to do components. And if I remember correctly, let me go back to Code Academy. In the learning, with the learning of React, the syllabus. So we got components here, but then it's components interacting, lifecycle methods, and then hooks. So that's in the path. But yeah, we're definitely using hooks. Hooks is what I'm comfortable with. What is this message here? You taking the front path or some course there? I'm on front end dev and JavaScript bootcamp. Whoa, what are you guys talking about? I think Max is in a coding bootcamp or something. Oh, he's in Scrimba. I got it. You are welcome, sir. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Hey, cool. How are you? I'm great. You know, it's late. I'm probably only going to do this for a little bit more time, but I see that we have so many people still here, so I kind of want to keep this going just a little bit. But yeah, this is kind of fun. And Code Academy, you know, this is my first time ever using them. They're not bad. I kind of like how everything is laid out and the text besides the editor. So that's cool. It's not a bad experience. All right, so this line of code creates a new variable. The variable's name is React, and its value is particular imported JavaScript code, okay? This imported object's method that you need in order to use React, the object is called the React library. Later, we'll go over where the React library is imported from and how the importing process works. For now, just know that you'll get the React library via import React from React. You've already seen one of the methods contained in the React library. Recall that when a JavaScript Jsx element is compiled, it transforms into a React create element call. For this reason, you'll have to import the React library and save it in a variable named React. Before you can use any JSX at all, React create element must be available. So select new JS, and on line 1 use import React from React. Hey DT, your shirt is really awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And let's see. Well, that's a good experience too. Doing the Scrimba JavaScript script miss challenge right now. I learned many new things. By the way, we don't import React from React now with React 17. Right. I've seen that, but I've seen some disparities where it goes back and forth. So some people are still doing it. I'm trying to figure out more about that though. I haven't touched them yet. I'm a bit short on time with school, working code, but we'll do in the vacations. Good luck. Now take a line and line 2, so it's the React DOM. So we're gonna import the React DOM on this one. So import React DOM from React DOM. All right. Create a class component. you've learned that a React component is a small, reusable chunk of code that is responsible for one job, which often involves rendering HTML. Here's another fact about components. We can use a JavaScript class to redefine or to define a new React component. All class components will have some methods or properties in common. More on this later. Rather than rewriting those same properties over and over again, every time we extend the component class from React library. This way, we can use the code that we import from the React library without having to write it over and over again ourselves. All right. Again, we define our class component. We can use it to render as many instances of the component as we want. All right. React.component is a JavaScript class to create your own component class. You must subclass. All right. If you're uncomfortable with them, here are some resources. Look at the code in app.js. A lot of it is still unfamiliar, but you can understand more than you could before. On line 4, you know that you are declaring a new component, which is like the factory for rebuilding React components. You know that React.component is a class, which you must subclass in order to create a component class of your own. You also know that React.component is a property on the object which is returned. Kareem, thank you for the subscribe. I appreciate that. So, skip line 3. On line 4, declare a new component class by writing class X extends React component. Don't put anything between the curly braces just yet. All right, class X extends React component. And it's lowercase, it's not uppercase. Extends React.component and curly brackets. All right. Good. Subclassing React.component is the way to declare a new component class. When you declare a new component class, you need to give that component class a name. On line 4, notice that our component's class name is myComponentClass. Component class variable names must begin with capital letters. Okay, they must begin with capitals. This adheres to JavaScript's class syntax. It also adheres to a broader programming convention, which uses upper camel case. In addition, there is a React-specific reason why component classes must be capitalized. We'll get into that soon. So select new JS, edit your code so that your component's class name is myComponentClass. All right. So let's review what you learned so far. On line 1, we have the import React. On line 2, we have the React DOM. Line 4, subclassing React.component. And whenever you create a component class, yeah, it's my first time using Codecademy. And honestly, you know, it's not bad. Compared to what I thought it was, it's not bad at all. Something that we haven't talked about yet is the body of your class component, the pair of curly braces after React component. All right, so then you're going to have your render and then your text. Click next and we'll go to the set of instructions. A component class is like a factory that builds components. All right, for starters, these instructions should take the form of a class declaration. That means that they will be delimited by curly braces like this. The instructions should be written in typical JavaScript. Yeah, they explain the easy way. The UI looks cool. Yeah, I think it's very beginner friendly. And it's free, right? So just keep that in mind. And that's kind of why, like, I'm cool with it. It's free. A render method is a property whose name is render and whose value is function. The term render method can refer to the entire property or just the function part. Okay. A render method must contain a return statement. Usually, this return statement returns a JS expression. Of course, none of this explains the point of the render method. All you know as far as that the render select new JS Place the cursor between the curly brackets. And lines 4 and 6 should now look like this. On line 5, write a render method. All right. Now let's fill out the render method. Okay. So inside the render method's body, write a return. A statement that returns H1. Hello world. Let's run that. Cool. Good night. Have a great weekend. Jamila, you've been here that whole time? That's amazing. Wow. Thank you for hanging out with us literally for 2 hours. We've covered a lot. Hopefully this helped clear up some misconceptions. And it was just a great experience hanging out with everybody. So thank you. Yeah, I'm probably going to do one last slide and I'm going to call it too because it's midnight now. My component class is now a working component class. Let's make a React component. It only takes one more line, my component class. So take a React. So at the bottom of New.js, create an instance of my component class. But it's already there. So to make a React component, my component class extends React my component, and it's there. Oh, it's a New.js. Whoops. Whoops. Ta-da. Okay. And then we will have here my component class with self-closing, comma, document, get element by ID, and its app. And we did it. You've learned the component. When you make a component, the class declaration. You haven't learned these instructions. Okay. You can make a million different my component instances. The lesson's final exercise is to render your component. In order to render a component, that component needs to have a method named render. Your component has it inherited a method render from my component class. Since your component has a render method, all that's left to do is call it. For render my component class for Reactdom's second argument, well, that's what I already did. Was I not supposed to do that last time? Okay, I did that without realizing. All right. Get the app. So every time I complete one, it's going to try and get me to pay. Okay, cool. All right, we've knocked out a lot. All right. I really love your enthusiasm to help others. And I heard you and love that you don't want others to struggle. That's all this is what this is all about, honestly. Like, coding genuinely changed my life. And I know what it can do for others, and it could possibly be the change that they need. I'm willing to help facilitate that in any way that I could figure out how. So if there's a way I could figure it out, I absolutely want to do that. If you don't wake up at 4 a.m., I'm going to tell your wife. She as soon as I told her I was going to do this, she literally told me that I'm insane. I'm probably not going to wake up at 4 since it's already midnight, though. But she told me that I was insane for wanting to do this. But I was inspired by that conversation I had with someone to where they're like, I'm learning on Code Academy. It's kind of difficult. I would love your input on it. And I was like, I didn't think about it. Let's give it a try. And I think everybody pretty much enjoyed this way more than I thought. Because for people to stick here for 2 hours, I think that's crazy because I didn't know that they'd just be watching me study. But I'm hoping that they were studying along the way as well, learning things and picking it up as we go. And I think this is a great experience. So I'm definitely going to do this again. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to... maybe when I wake up in the morning after I have some breakfast with the family, I may jump back on here and do some more. And then, of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you are, because tomorrow is Saturday Among Us Day. We do Among Us with some like big tech Twitter people and YouTubers. So like usually like Ben Awad, Nehemiah Kiv, Kevin Powell, all those kind of people will be hanging out tomorrow playing Among Us. So if you like Among Us, it's a cool way to hang out with the community. But yeah. So I'm gonna end this one here where I was just at. I would say they need to update the course material, but the material provided still used today. Yeah, I agree. Mainly because I don't, class-based components nobody's using right now. But it's still good to know. It doesn't hurt to know. And at least that section wasn't super long. There's a project coming up here, authorization form. That's interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. Now look, here's the truth. I could talk about this all day long, but I really want you to check out my other videos. So check out my other videos, and I will see you